to another Gotta Love Linda video. Hope you're enjoying my brand new credits that I've made with updated photos of me and a few of my loved ones. It was fun making them. Anyway, why I'm making this video today, and I'm out here in the glorious sunshine. Well, I'm in the shade because sunshine was stuffing up my video. But I'm out here, I've got water surrounding me. You might hear the fountain just over there. It's a glorious, beautiful spring day. But I feel it's time to share my thoughts on the referendum that is coming up in only a few weeks. I have been asked by a lot of people, a lot of non-Aboriginal people, what my thoughts are. And I have a lot of thoughts, and I've put just a few down on paper. Probably the most important ones that I feel to share with you about why I will be voting no in this upcoming referendum on the voice. So, number one, I believe that we already have lots of voices for Aboriginal people. I'm going to put up a little slide here to show you many ways that Aboriginal people have a voice. Haven't got them all written down, so I will go through them. Well, I won't go through them, but you can pause this and read all the ones that, all the voices that I think we already have. And I don't know how this voice is going to be any different to all the voices that we already have. And I don't know because they haven't told us. It's so vague. Number two, Albo has only read through the first page of the Uluru Statement from the Heart. He says there's only one page, when in actual fact there are 26 pages. Now, if he's only read that one page, it scares me to think about what he's missing in all those other pages. 25 extra pages. He lied about the length, saying it was only one page, and he also said it wasn't about treaty. Now, we know for a fact that it was about treaty. One of my other points that I have here, where is it? Let me find it. What's her name? Megan Davis, who is one of the people who actually wrote the statement from the heart. She says it is all about treaty, and you might have heard the word Makarrata. Treaty is Makarrata. That's what Makarrata means. And for her to say this is all about treaty, when Albo clearly says it's not, well, who do you believe? Who do you believe? Number three is I have spoken to a number of different remote area people from Aboriginal communities. Just the other night at the Port Adelaide game, I was chatting to, I didn't go to the game, but I was outside doing street mission with some friends. And there was a group of Aboriginal people, some from Ceduna, and the others were from, oh, what do they call it? Saint something out east of Alice Springs. And they didn't know about the voice. I'm finding remote people actually don't know about the voice. They don't know what it is, what it stands for. They've never heard of it. And if this is meant to be a voice for the marginalised, well, they're the ones that actually don't know anything about it. That is a concern to me, a huge concern. It seems that all the urbanised Aboriginal people are the ones that are what they call blacktivists. They're the social justice warriors. They're the ones fighting for yes, and they're the ones that usually are middle to upper class already. They don't need the voice the way, well, this is my thoughts, purely my thoughts. They don't need the voice the way that the remote people do, or the marginalised like my brother and myself. We're the ones that need that extra support, and yet we're the ones that probably won't get it. Sorry, just trying to fix my water bottle here. Wow, it's a warm day. Number five. The voice is actually so vague. There's no specifics. We don't know what will happen after it goes through, if it goes through. So essentially, to me, it's like the voice of Australia, the voice of Australian people, if it's voted yes. We're writing the government a blank check to do whatever they please. whatever they please, because we don't know what they want. And while sometimes people have called me a conspiracy theorist, which I don't think I am, especially because some of the conspiracies are actually turning out to be blatant truths in plain sight, we just don't know what is happening with the what will happen with yes. I have so many thoughts running in my head, so I'm getting a little bit lost, I think. But there's another point here, that if people, number 6, which kind of ties in, number 6, if Aboriginal people cede their sovereignty, it paves the way for the government to take back lands that have already been given back to traditional people. So our family have gone through all the land rights and stuff, and native title, and our lands have been handed back to us. Well, I think some of them at least. I know definitely some of them have. I'm not sure if all of them have. Because my uncle has shown me all the paperwork before he passed away. And again, we don't know what this is going to mean for Aboriginal people and their sovereignty. So, because again, it's not spoken of. So it's highly possible that they will then go and try to take back this land. So yeah, that's another one. And just on that point, there is a lady on YouTube, grandmother Mulara, I think it is, and I'm going to leave the link in the description because it is well worth going to see her video. I think it's only about 7 minutes long, but she goes into the law of Aboriginal people, so L-O-R-E, and compares it with the law, L-A-W, because not only is she an elder in her community, she is also a lawyer. She's actually studied law, and I think from memory she studied constitutional law. So she is well worth going to, oh, sorry, I keep kicking the stand. So she is well worth going to watch that short video, just so that you get a really, really clear understanding of the difference between law and law, and the way that the Australian government, now I already knew this before I watched her video, but Australia actually isn't a country on its own. It's actually a corporation, a business that has its own ABN, believe it or not. And I think it's owned by the US or China, I can't remember. But Australia as a country is actually owned by somebody, and yeah, it's not cool. It's not cool. So again, watch her video. She goes into a lot more detail, and it's fascinating, but it's a bit scary. I think she has some brilliant views. Number 7 for me, I worry that if Aboriginal people are put into the Constitution, it sets up yet another distinction between Aboriginal people and other Australians. I feel it gives a divide. It makes Aboriginal people look special, different, distinctive. And why do we need to have that? I do think that there are things that Aboriginal people need in order to kind of be propped up to equal the rest of Australia, and things like the Close the Gap scheme that gives free medications for Aboriginal people. Not all medications, mind you, but a vast majority that are on the PBS are free for Aboriginal people. And that is one of the very, very few perks of being Aboriginal that I have had in my life. Yeah, we don't get handouts left, right and centre like people think. And if we do, well then I've been missing out, because Mick and I have struggled day by day by day to just keep living and not even surviving, but just to try and have a happy life. We've had no help from family. The help that we have had has been from our church family when we've been in dire straits, and God has provided. So this whole Close the Gap has been a real blessing for us, because if we had to pay for our medications, we would be struggling even more. But yeah, I don't understand, and this is where a lot of Aboriginal people will be hurt and angry at me, because I do have a different view to most. And the things I've been hearing Jacinta Price say of late, oh my goodness, they are just the exact things I've been spouting to my friends, certain friends who we do talk a lot about Aboriginal stuff with. And to hear Jacinta saying them that I've been saying since before Black Lives Matter came in, it's so refreshing. But it also explains a lot about why I've been shunned by certain Aboriginal people, including family. So what do I mean here? Let's just start off with why my family has shunned me. I'm someone who believes in taking responsibility, who believes in ownership of your own behaviours and words and actions. And back around the time that Black Lives Matter began, I shared a post about an Aboriginal young woman artist who was murdered by her brother. And I had said, this is not right. We can't keep doing this in our community. I shared another post that Jacinta had shared about domestic violence in Aboriginal communities. Now, because I belong to the Aboriginal community as well as the wider Australian community, that was what my thing was, shedding light on things happening in my community so that we can bring light to them, uncover them, and work on fixing those things so that women are not continually getting bashed in domestic violence, so that young people are not being murdered, so that, you know, people are not doing a lot of substance abuse. Why keep those things under the carpet? Why not bring them out, shed light on them, and work on fixing them? But I had people in my family who really bullied me online. Some of you may have seen that happen. Basically calling me a coconut, a traitor, really nasty things because I was trying to shed light on it. Now, why would you want to keep that under the carpet? Is that so we look all nice and shiny on the outside, but underneath we're rotting? Some accuse me of doing it about the Aboriginal community, but I wouldn't do it about another community because I don't belong to another community. I am Aboriginal and German and French and English, but I identify mostly with being German and Aboriginal, and definitely Aboriginal. I take huge pride in my Aboriginality, as my German foster parents taught me. They always said, don't ever be ashamed. Don't let anyone shame you about being Aboriginal. And I have held tight to that my entire life. Mick and I are both proud of it. What I'm not proud of though, and this has happened a lot in the last few years, since the Black Lives Matter movement came into being, which actually was started by 3 witches, yes, Wiccans, and their purpose, I have read, was to cause dissent and disharmony. Since all that came in, Aboriginal people have really taken hold of it, and they're using it in a really angry, nasty way, which I believe is the whole purpose of Black Lives Matter anyway. I do not agree with it at all. I believe, again, it causes division. You know, I very rarely encountered racism until Black Lives Matter came into being. Here in Australia, I think I got called an abo a few times by one of my friend's cousins in high school. And my foster dad used to make comments, racist comments, although he didn't think they were racist, but they were. But that's kind of it, until my own Aboriginal family started calling me horrible names and completely cyberbullying me, where others actually joined in as well. Other Aboriginal people on my Facebook joined in, and it was a hugely distressing time until my cousins gave me an ultimatum about something separate that hadn't even been part of this entire conversation. But I soon realised that I have seen it for quite a while, and this is part of the problem with The Voice, is that a lot, not all, definitely not all, but a lot of Aboriginal people, especially urbanised Aboriginal people, are very angry, and they are so stuck in victimhood and blaming the government, blaming the world, blaming every other coloured Australian except for our own race. Well, not race, we're all one race. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all. These, and as an example, the ones crying poor, crying victim, are the ones like my cousins who are upper middle class. They live near the beach, not far from the beach, in a beautiful home that they have completely renovated. I don't know about now because we've not been in touch for 3 years, sadly. But at the time, they had 4 people living at home and 3 of them had SUVs. My cousin, my actual cousin, has had at the time 3 businesses of his own. I'm assuming that's all still happening, and they're the ones that cry victim. They're the ones that cry poor. If you ask me, they're the ones that actually have taken advantage of what Australia has to offer. They have really worked the system, and in this particular case, yes, they have worked the system. I won't go into what I mean by that. But they have taken every opportunity that has ever come along for them. They have actually stolen opportunities off other people. Again, I won't go into that. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't understand Aboriginal people being so angry when every Aboriginal person has the chance to do what my cousins have done. To grab hold of opportunities, to go to school, to go to uni, to get jobs, to create their own jobs. These people have lovely lives from the outside. You know, they have the incredible home renovated. They all have beautiful cars. They all work. They have everything Australia has to offer anybody that comes here or that lives here. And yet they're the ones that cry victim and cry poor and cry, you owe us. I just don't understand it. I really do not understand it. When there are people like Mick and I who proudly are Aboriginal Australians, although we didn't grow up with our culture, and we are having trouble learning our culture because the one person who was teaching us passed away, and cousins and stuff, they're not willing to teach us. This family, they're not willing to teach us about our culture. It's really sad. And yet we are hungry for it. We're hungry to know and learn and be part of it all. Yet we're the ones that have no familial help in any way. We have no help whatsoever. Mick and I struggle day by day. We eat bread every second week because we just don't have the money for proper food. So a lot of our diet is carbs, which sucks and doesn't exactly help this. and there are lots of reasons why that is so difficult for us. Yeah, I won't go into that either. But this is why, Mick and I, we try to see the positives in things and in people. And when we go out, we talk to anybody. And that is a legacy of our foster dad and our real dad. Both of our dads were just such friendly, open people who would talk to anybody. And Mick and I are like that. And as a result, we have made friends with so many people in the city. So we walk along and we see someone from the train. Oh, how you going? Or we talk to some of the homeless people that we've got to know. We approach a lot of Aboriginal people, and that's why I have Aboriginal stuff on my scooter, so that they know, you're one of us. And I just want them to feel welcomed in this city. And so I really do love meeting new people and letting them know that whatever their struggles are, they're not alone. And so this is why I don't understand, if we get put into the Constitution, then it's putting us on a different level. It's separating us from the rest of Australians. And the truth is, everybody knows our history of colonisation and stolen generations. And to be honest, some of our family consider Mick and I to have been stolen, because we could have lived with our Aboriginal family and we don't know why. I even asked my uncle, why were we not placed with Aboriginal family when it wasn't our Aboriginal father who abused us? It was our German mother. And yet we got placed in a German foster home. We grew up in a German community, a Lutheran church. I mean, I will never diss my upbringing. I am so thankful to God for my upbringing. It was beautiful. It was magical. The way I grew up, actually where I grew up and the people I grew up with, they will forever be favourites in my mind. I think that I grew up in the best community possible, where we all had the same beliefs. We all went to primary school, high school, youth, sports teams. We were all together. It was such a little community and everyone was related. Honestly, best place ever where I grew up, and I will forever be grateful to my foster parents for taking us in, introducing us to Jesus, and having that particular extended family and friends as my family. But all through that, they still told us to be proud of our Aboriginality, and I just think that having it in the Constitution will definitely separate Aboriginal people from others, and I think there's enough of that already happening. And I think Aboriginal people play a huge part in that. They are the ones that I hear crying about colonisation. Even whenever there's a black comedy show, like Mick and I love Aboriginal TV and movies, but the comedy, I've come to hate the comedy because it's all about colonisation and how we've been ripped off. And they do it in a comedic way, but it still comes across as we're victims, you did this to us, instead of us all being together as one. It's just so sad. And again, the people doing the comedy are the ones that have all the money, the ones that have had all the advantages and taken advantage of things that have been offered. Whereas the ones out bush, or the ones like Mick and I, we've had none of that. And, you know, just another thought about that is that we are not the only group of people to have experienced displacement and been taken from our country, our lands. I know almost every single Indigenous culture in the world has had this happen. The English, the Irish, the Indians, a lot of South America, pretty much you name the country and it's happened there as well. And so that's another reason why I get really upset with Aboriginal people constantly going on and on about why we are the ones that are, you know, victims, poor us. I just don't understand it when it's happened almost everywhere in the world, and yet you don't really hear about it from other countries. And the very first time I heard about it was when my friend Verity said, you know that my ancestry had that too. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, in Ireland it happened. And I went and researched and I was like, oh my gosh. And that was years ago. And since then I have seen almost every Indigenous culture it's happened to. So what makes Aboriginal people so special when it has actually happened all over the world? So that's another thing I think it's worth thinking about. Don't cow to the professional blacktivist victims. Do not get sucked in by them. Do not. Please do not. I know a lot of people on my Facebook who are, I guess they see themselves as social justice warriors. They're not Aboriginal people. And I get a little bit frustrated at those people too, because I know that they just want, like, I know their heart. They just want what's best for Aboriginal people, but I feel that they've got onto the blacktivist they've got onto the activist blacktivist bandwagon, and they're being sucked in by all this victim mentality. We owe them. We need to do this for them. We need to do that for them. When in actual fact, all you are doing is encouraging this victimhood and this victim thinking. And that's not cool for anybody. Like, I just think every person has the ability to take control of their life. And you know, Mick and I might struggle in provision for ourselves, but we see the joy in life. We take delight in when it rains or at pretty clouds, as you know. You know, you don't have to be a victim in this life, no matter what your start in life was. And Mick and I are perfect examples of a really, really rough childhood. In fact, Mick and I, our lives have never been easy. We've always had trauma to deal with, even as adults. And yet we try to be positive, just because I guess that's partly our nature. But you don't have to get sucked in to people crying victim. They have the ability to pull themselves out of this. Maybe not financially, but I just feel that the white or the non-Aboriginal activists and social justice warriors and people who have a heart for Aboriginal people, there are other ways that you can support Aboriginal people rather than get on the victim bandwagon. Stop helping Aboriginal people stay in victimhood thinking. Empower them instead. Because when you get on that bandwagon, you are not empowering people, you are crushing them down. You are saying, step down, let me step on you. They are saying, you are saying, that's what you're saying to these people. You're saying, we don't want you to be equal with us because you need to be special. You need to stay victims so we can all go poor you. But how about, hey, give me your hand and let me lift you up. Let me empower you. Let me embolden you. Let me give you strength so that you can do this. You can make your decisions. Do you know what I mean? I really believe social justice warriors need to do that rather than get sucked in by black victims, because that's not going to help anybody, and it's not going to help our group of people in this country. It's not. It's just not. So, sorry I've said so much. There are just two things I want to say to you about actual voting. So first, number one is use a biro, a pen. Do not use the pencils they are providing you with. Use a pen so that it cannot be erased. Do not use an erasable pen either. Not that they would know, but use a pen that cannot be erased. Number two, this might scare you, I'm warning you. There are apparently 2 questions, and one of them, I don't know the actual words, so I'm paraphrasing, but it says something like, do you believe there are Indigenous Australians? Tick no, write no. Now I know that sounds wrong, it sounds really wrong, but I have heard that every person that says yes to that, they're taking it as a yes vote. So the second question, they're completely dismissing it. So you need to actually say no to both questions. And like I said, that might sound scary, but that's what you need to do in order to have a no vote. All right, guys, I've been absolutely loving it out here. There's been such a beautiful breeze. The breeze in this section is like, it goes way down, sort of with houses on both sides, and it's such a cool breeze that's coming through. And yeah, I've had the tinkling of water. It's I should probably show you what I've been surrounded by. It's been so lovely. So I know this has been kind of a long video, and if you have watched it all the way through, I really thank you so much, and I just pray that you really make a considered, thoughtful decision about which way you're going to vote. I'm not going to tell you which way. I think my thoughts have made it pretty clear where I'm voting. But yeah, you do your research. You really do need to do your research. I'm going to leave some links. I'm going to leave a couple of links below of some videos that I feel are really, really good. So take the time to watch them, and I just pray that this coming week is a real blessing to you, and yeah, thank you again for listening. Oh, by the way, do you like my headband? Auntie Stephanie Golan, she makes them. And whenever there's any Aboriginal day, like Sorry Day or Reconciliation Week or walks or whatever, she sells them. I love it. I don't often wear it, but it's so cool. Like, look at this. It can fold up. Oh. So it's kind of like a one size fits everybody. Hang on. Now I've just turned it inside out. Anyway, guys, have a lovely week and catch you next time. Just quickly showing you, this is what my view has been. Oh, so pretty. How lovely is it? Oh, and one last thing, I totally do support Jacinta Price. She is so much on my page, it's not funny. And I'm really excited. I went and saw her on last Monday night, and to see her views match up with mine almost exactly was very, very exciting. So yes, I stand with Jacinta Price. And Jacinta, honey, you are doing well. Do not let the haters get you down. You're a legend. And Jesus is with you.